Hey, what's going on, guys? Derek Smith for the Monday podcast for October 14th, 2019. Here to talk about some arm wrestling. Kind of excited. I mean, I've started looking forward more and more to these podcasts and going over this stuff. It feels like I've been getting received pretty well so far. Hopefully, I don't start bothering you guys too much with all this stuff. I just, like talking about arm wrestling, and hopefully, I'm helping some people out there and being a little bit entertaining. That's the goal. So, since last time I talked to you guys, real quick recap of what I've been up to, if you care. I pretty basic week. Had worked out at the gym this week. I had a guy named Zach recognize me at the gym from arm wrestling. That is the first time that's ever happened since I've been in the sport. I was working out, tapped me on the shoulder, and he recognized me from the Mississippi State Championship video and from some other arm wrestling ones, and he knew all about the top 8 and stuff like that, and that was really cool. Zach, if you end up listening to this, it was great meeting you, man. Hopefully you can come to one of my practices and I can show you some stuff. Besides that, on Saturday, went down to San Diego. Me and the squad practiced with John Berzink. He was in town in San Diego doing some business, and Alan Fisher decided to host a practice around John being in town. I've actually been arm wrestling, like almost 10 years, and I've never been down to Alan's house. It just, I don't know, never happened. So finally, we got the whole crew together, and we went down there and practiced with John and Alan, and pretty much some people from each team in Southern California went. So it was kind of cool. Big Tony Tomlinson went, and Dallas Langston, and a lot of guys. There's a lot of people there. So it was cool. It was a really good practice, and got to pull John again, which I haven't seen John since our super match, if that's what you want to call it, where he beat me really easily. I haven't really seen him since then, so it was good to see John and catch up with him, see what he's up to, and what his plans are with the sport and stuff, and where he's going, where he's heading towards. And then we pulled for a while, and arm wrestling with John is always it's always weird because he lulls you in such a false sense of strength, as far as like he's told me before that he's not an endurance type of guy. He's really strong for a few matches, and he's the man for a few matches. And within those matches, his endurance isn't bad at all. It's really good. But after those matches, he just fades out pretty quick. So yeah, I've practiced with John in the past, and I was able to pin him in the past at the end of practice usually. So it's kind of the same thing here. But you also got to imagine at a big practice like that, every single person there is trying to arm wrestle with John. The moment he even walks near an arm wrestling table, somebody jumps up on the table and says, "John, can I arm wrestle with you?" Because everybody's trying to get a hold of him. So, I feel for him. I feel for him. He arm wrestles for about 5 minutes, stands back for about 10, 15 minutes, arm wrestles for 5 minutes, and so on and so forth. And so it was good, though. He beat my right arm up for sure. He couldn't hook with him. Not yet. Hopefully I get there pretty soon. And then Tony Tomlinson was attacking him as well, going at his left hand and his right hand. And Tony's really strong. He's one of the other super heavyweights from Southern California, one of the top guys out here. So it was great seeing him and seeing his team. So anyway, I'm beat up. Both arms were destroyed on Saturday. Sunday just relaxed, and here we are on Monday. So moving forward, here we are on Reddit. Start going over some of this stuff. I scrolled back to my last podcast update, and after that, we got one post by Totoro. Yeah, that guy. He posted the video of Laletin versus Saganashvili fight before top 8 finals. It's basically a fake video of them just messing around on the table over at the D1 tournament in China. It's nothing. It's just a clickbait, basically, really. But it's still, makes you think that when they're gripping up and stuff, the angles that Vitali's probably going to go for. I think he's going to try to low hand top roll Levon. So we'll see if he can. I mean, his ankles, there's nobody that has better angles than Vitali. So I'm excited to see if he can pry those bottom fingers open, or if Levon's going to be able to contain him, which, I haven't really seen anybody contain him yet, so that would be interesting. Levon is just so massive right now, man. His forearm specifically looks like a little tree trunk. It's crazy. It's crazy to think that my goal one day is to beat him. So can't wait for that to happen. After this was posted by MHTK Mraug, Mraug. A video of Janis Amolins versus Andrei Chiprenov. It's the Right 78 kg finals from Nemiroff 2010. Man, Janis, I believe I watched this one, and it's super interesting. I mean, watching Janis pull is always amazing because he's such a versatile puller, and he can do so many different moves at such a high level and at the right time and stuff like that. And so it's always inspiring to see someone like that who has a lot of tools in their tool belt and can pull them out on a moment's notice. It's nice watching them. I mean, most arm wrestlers, super, super favorite one style and don't really switch it up. And the entertaining ones are the ones that switch it up, like Janis or Devin or John, even Prudnick, these guys that go inside or go outside, depending on, the person they're arm wrestling, or will do whatever it takes to win. I can always appreciate that. And I think that our sport is headed that way. I think everybody's eventually going to be well versed, and the matches should be more exciting because then you can see them trying a ton of different moves. So I'm always excited seeing the guys like that arm wrestle, and Janis is definitely the definition of versatile. Moving forward after that is Random Dust Bunny posted Devin Larratt's post arm wrestling career, WAL 506 BTS vid 2. It was a video by Devin's wife, Jody, and she basically was behind the scenes in WAL 506 talking about what Devin could possibly do when his career's over with in arm wrestling, what his career options are. Mentioned gaming, and Devin, I've heard a few times about Devin Larratt playing Mortal Kombat. Devin, I will smoke you in Mortal Kombat. Let's just lay that out right now. Establish that. But yeah, no, apparently he's pretty good at Mortal Kombat. I see him over there. But he's beating up on arm wrestling dudes, man, who've never played video games. For a lot of you guys that don't know, I used to be a professional gamer. I was a professional Call of Duty and Halo player back in the day. So I will destroy Devin in Mortal Kombat if we play. The second thing she posted was Devin being a professional strongman, doing the Hercules hold, which his arms won't straighten out for that, and then professional sleeper. And she posted a video of Devin passed out in the bed. Man, people filming you while you sleep, man, drive me crazy. Okay, so next one is posted by Dark Trey Lord, Top Roll Knowledge Essentials. Oh, I didn't watch this. I'm not going to watch it right now while I'm talking to you guys. But I mean, I'm assuming it links to a YouTube video, it looks like. So I'm assuming that it's just... Oh, it's one of those videos from... it's one of the Hawaiian videos of them going over Top Roll Essentials, right? So basically, there's different types of top rolls, guys, right? So there's high hand top rolls, there's low hand top rolls, there's whole hand top rolls, there's top rolls that attack just the fingertips. There's so many different styles of it, and so I think just to put them all into one group is kind of difficult. I mean, as an amateur, I guess it's easy when you're teaching someone the bare necessities of arm wrestling, the basics. But once you really get into it, what you're targeting, how you're targeting it, how you're trying to utilize your height or your lack of height or your speed, so there's a lot of different ways to top roll, guys. It's not all just in one motion, right? So I would say top roll essentials, things that are paramount, is you need to, one, you have to have good timing, right? If you go second and you're top rolling, you're screwed, right? So I would say timing is a good one. Knowing your opponent, I would say, is a second one. Knowing the way that they're going to grab you or their tendency or where they're going to drop those fingers, if they're bottom two finger dependent, if they're trying to top roll with you, having a general idea of where they're going to go, it helps you out a lot. Learning how to create. Now, this is all. We'll say that this one is for amateurs. So knowing how to create space in your hand and how to get them off the back of your hand. But there's something that a lot of amateurs do and a lot of arm wrestlers do that I like to touch on with as far as grips as well, is that people get way too greedy. This is one thing you guys got to focus on when you're going into a tournament, is that you're never going to get everything you want, right? I think Travis Bajent has talked about this before, is that when you go into a tournament, if you get too greedy, you're never gonna get everything you want, but you can kind of make sure that they don't get everything they want. What you want to do is, while getting your grip, get just enough where you feel like you can successfully execute what you want to execute. Because if you don't want to go to a ref's grip, then I get just enough where I'm like, okay, I can do my move. Now, if I keep trying to get the person off the back of my hand, or I keep trying to get more on the back of their hand, or whatever I feel like doing, whatever move I'm doing, then the odds of the other person being okay with that grip go down, 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 and then they'll generally end up going to a ref's grip, right? So when getting a grip, know the moment you have enough. That's enough, right? I have enough right there to do what I want to do. I feel successful in that grip. And that's the grip I like to roll with if I don't plan on slipping or going to the straps or anything like that. So, yeah, most people get way too greedy, and then you just end up in the ref's grip, and so, it's kind of pointless, right? But yeah, I mean, after that, though, as far as top rolling goes, guys, there's so many different top rolls and different angles. Just to throw out blanket statements regarding top rolls, it's kind of ridiculous, I'd have to have the person in front of me and show them, with their arm height and stuff like that and their strengths, what they should target. And it also depends on if you're top rolling a press person or a hook puller or, another top roller or, there's so many different things, guys. Or if you're top rolling the straps or out of the straps, there's a lot of things. But posting is definitely another essential for top rolling. So, yeah, maybe posting pressure should be one of the essentials. Okay, let's see here. Oh, sorry, I got reset. But yeah, I mean, top rolling is also definitely the easier way to go in arm wrestling as far as no pain. It hurts way less. So you guys should definitely think about doing that if you're hurting a lot right now. But don't only do that. Anyway, okay, sorry, I lost my place on Reddit. I'm back. Here's the next thing posted by Snake86. It's a video about from Devin, not talking about Michael Todd, where Devin's basically saying, I'm coming for you, and he does not say a name. I hit him up, private messaged him. I said, dude, you have to tell me who you're talking about. This is ridiculous. I actually had a few people ask me, and he just said there's people he doesn't like, and the list isn't very long, and he's coming for him. That's basically all he tells me. He wouldn't tell me any name specific who it is, so I don't know who he's referring to in those videos, guys. We're all going to have to guess and find out. But if Devin just starts randomly trying to kill somebody on the table, I guess we know who he's talking about. All right, next post, posted by Toop Karcher. How to stop fast opponents. Hey, all. Any tips on catching really fast starters? Guys that can time the go and hit hard and fast. I'm not great at this. I can't find any specific videos on YouTube. Thanks. Okay, so glad you asked this, man. There's a few ways. I'm a slow arm wrestler. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm not fast, and I think that. So I've spent the majority of my arm wrestling career trying to find ways to slow people down. And these fast arm wrestlers, guys that slam me, guys that live on the ready go, and I know if I can just get a hold of them, then I can beat them, right? So some cool tricks that I've come up with, things I've noticed over time, is one, the straps takes a lot off. If you guys can get to the straps and you can tie, the bottom strap, there's a strap that goes over the back of your hand, and there's a strap that goes around your wrist. The strap that goes around your wrist, I call the horsepower strap. That's what I call it for my team, the horsepower strap. And the top strap is your hand control strap, right? So your horsepower strap, it bites down on their wrist as well. So if you can load up a little bit, or even if you don't load up, once the match starts, in the straps, you have the ability to put the brakes on people. Your brakes are a lot better and a lot stronger with that bottom strap, right? So I think relying on that and going to the straps if someone's really fast helps out a ton. Outside of the straps, one thing I learned is that if somebody is dealing with your high knuckle, your ability to raise high-handed top roll, right, with your knuckles facing the sky, like really high-wristed. If someone's going really fast and you post and with a high wrist, That's what the reason a high hook and high posting, they say, is the ultimate move, is because it leads to everything. If you control the top of the hand, then people crumble underneath you, basically. So when you're setting up in any kind of move, even if you plan on hooking, I'll start with a super high hand when I'm planning on hooking, because when they're gripping up, if they feel your opponent, being they, if your opponent feels like they have to deal with your high knuckles, like, oh man, he's going to top roll me, or he's going to high hook me, or whatever, his knuckles are so high, if they feel like they have to deal with your high knuckles, then they slow down no matter what. I've never had anybody deal with my high knuckles quickly. I've definitely had people deal with my knuckles being high, but they can never do it fast. And so when I started going against some of these really fast guys and I started using these little tricks, it worked like a charm. I would go super high knuckled up, and they would have to slow down to try to overtake my knuckles or go around it or deal with it. And their super fast flashing hit didn't work that well, right? Because that's such a scary thing to deal with. For them to ignore my high knuckles would, in a lot of different ways, potentially lead to them losing. So they stopped to try to deal with it. So it's great. That's a way to slow them down. So I'll start with super high knuckles. They'll jump up to try to deal with them. And the moment they go up to try to deal with my knuckles, I'll just slam down into a hook. Right? Okay, cool. So now I just hooked a fast top roller because he stopped to deal with my high knuckles. I didn't plan on staying up there, staying high like that, but I dropped down into him right after I slowed him down with the high knuckles. So there's that. Then, we could talk about timing and things like that. But I think those two are really big ones I found that help a lot, is starting with high knuckles and heading to the straps help a ton as far as slowing people down. Also, in the amateur brackets, if you can get people to load with you, meaning when you're getting a grip and you guys are they're holding on to you, if you can get them to really tense up a lot, then that helps when arm wrestling a fast person, because it's a lot easier to stop someone going from 80 to 100 than it is to stop someone going from 0 to 100. So when you get in the pro bracket, especially fast arm wrestlers, they know not to load up. They won't load with you generally because it takes away from their speed. And but in the amateur brackets, people are so nervous and excited to be on stage that they will fight with you. They'll get up there and they'll be really aggressive, and you can get them to load up with you. Well, when they load up, that's easy. You can put the brakes on that. That's not hard if they're already giving you the pressure in the direction that they want to go, So you definitely have a better shot of slowing them down that way. But yeah, generally in the pro bracket, you won't find people load up with you. It's pretty common knowledge not to. So there's some stuff for how to stop fast opponents. Just stay focused up there. You can do it. Oh, also, last thing before I switch topics, be efficient in your movements and make your movements short and simple, right? So if you overcomplicate things, you overcomplicate your movements, then they're slower, right? So if I just got to get a hold of my two fingers in the back of his hand. Say you're trying to sink a hook in on someone who's top rolling. Okay, I just got to get my fingers on the back of his hand, and you make it very simple. Simple is fast, right? The more complicated you make it, the longer and harder it is to pull off a move like that, right? So simplify your movements so they can be quick and efficient, right? So moving forward. Okay, posted by Tube Karcher. Oh, same guy asking how to stop fast opponents. Posted by Tube Karcher. He says, only training against people stronger than you makes it hard to practice technique. What do you guys think? As a new guy, everyone in the club is stronger than me. If they don't let me, I can't take their hand or turn them onto their bicep. This makes top roll training difficult. The only way if they let me, which isn't as good as actually overcoming someone similar to your strength. I realized this when I finally got a chance to pull someone my level, and my hook/top roll techniques suddenly felt natural and great. Does anyone else have the same circumstance? Not going to call it an issue because it's always good to face people better than you. Okay, so I always teach my guys on my team that arm wrestling people stronger than you makes you stronger. Arm wrestling people weaker than you makes you smarter, right? When you're arm wrestling people stronger than you, generally you're red bar, right? Meaning that you're giving it 1,000,000% trying to hold on to them as they pull through you, right? You're killing out your arms. So you're not able to think very clearly. Now, what happens is when you eventually, you go further in arm wrestling, from all the years of table time and all the hours and countless hours spent on the arm wrestling table, you build this muscle memory into your arms where the moment your arm goes into a certain angle, into a certain spot, it does what you want it to do just because you've beat it into your arms for years, right? So then you don't really have to think about it anymore. So practicing pulling against people weaker than you or anybody allows you to think clearly, right? So if you're not red barred and you're able to hold them at 60, 70, 80%, then you can kind of think, okay, he's going this way, let me target those fingers, or let me scoop forward and see if I can reel him into a hook, or let him get me deep into a hook and see how I can top roll him out of this if I really wanted to. So then you start learning, how to execute cool moves like that and how to be efficient in all your movements. So I definitely agree that if you are the weakest person in your team, that it's hard to learn a lot of technique because you're not able to apply it as much on the table. Now, but that also means that you should just have to communicate with your teammates. If you're arm wrestling with a real team, then you should be able to speak to them and be like, have them go really light on you and have them walk you through the motions. So it's not always about, especially when you're starting. When you first start arm wrestling, I always tell everybody it's all about table time. It's about how many hours can you put on the table when you're starting amateur arm wrestler. So you learning how to arm wrestle is paramount, right? Well, it's super important, but so is gaining strength, and so is building up your elbows, and so is learning safety, right? These are all really important things. But definitely getting a hold of people and learning the techniques and them allowing you to walk through it is big. If you can get some guys to do like a king of the table type of situation, if you really can't get any like quality table time, then you could always have people do like a king of the table type of situation where the strongest, heaviest guy goes up on the table and he arm wrestles the next heaviest guy, and then it just goes down the chain from that single file, from the heaviest down to the lightest, and then over and over again. And then they get back in single file line, and the person, whoever wins, stays on the table. Well, what that'll allow is allow you to get in the match with a really tired person. So even if you're the weakest guy, eventually the guys ahead of you will get weak, and then you'll have a shot at beating them, right? So, and then you could be in kind of like a real match there. That'd be one way to get a hold of people, if they're usually stronger than you, for you to get in the match. So find a way, talk to them. Communication should be everything. You should be able to work well with your team to be able to practice all your technique, man. That's the best thing I would say if you're the weakest person is just take your time, man, or arm wrestle with the women. Not too much pride, bro. All right. Moving forward after that is Random Dust Bunny posted, worth a watch this time. It's not just for the ha-has. It's a video of Devin and Neil Pickup talking, and Devin basically predicts his match with Wagner kind of spot on, which is kind of crazy. Devin, he knows arm wrestling, and he knows what angles Wagner was going to take and stuff, and especially when the fact that he gripped up with him, and he kind of knew where he was leading. And I mean, there's not too many videos of Wagner switching up his styles, so I think he could tell where it's going to go. So there's only a few ways that could have panned out, But no, still a good call for Devin for sure. Moving forward, next one is posted by NNQ2603. Herman Stevens versus Paul Passmore, full right-handed super match at Mississippi State 2019. I was there for this super match. This was Herman Stevens and Paul Passmore. Paul Passmore is the up-and-coming, or I don't know, he's like their right-handed arm wrestler in the U.S. Everybody's talking about him. He's a good friend of mine, and he's been doing fantastic. And so this is a match I was really looking forward to for a while because Herman Stevens is also the man. He's super strong. Everybody knows Herman, went to the Zloty, did well over there. And so everybody's really interested in watching Herman compete. And so that was a matchup waiting to happen. I think Paul was a good amount heavier than Herman, I think. I don't know the exact weights. I know Paul said he was like 270 or something like that. They had a war. I'm pretty sure it ended up 3-3 because Herman wanted his super matches to be 6 rounds, kind of like the way they do it for Vendetta, so that way he'd be used to it, so that no matter what, you had to arm wrestle all 6 rounds. But it was, man, those guys were crazy. So it started off with Herman tried to stay with Paul on a hook at first. Paul kind of pulled through him, bulldozed through him, and then Herman started attacking, like low-handing into Paul's bottom 2 fingers, and was able to take Paul's wrist, but Paul's not out of the game once he loses his wrist. He still drives sideways pretty hard and backwards. So then the match got really interesting of Herman trying to hang on for dear life and take Paul's hand while not losing his shoulder and his chest. And yeah, it was definitely a grinder. Great match between the two dudes. I have a lot of respect for their abilities on the table, and yeah. Oh, that reminds me. Mississippi State winner this year was Robbie Barnett. Man, okay. So I told him I'd give him a shout out. Robbie Barnett, you were the man. You have been killing it. Everything you've been doing, man. I saw you at Nationals. I saw you at Arnold's and all that stuff, and you were able to beat Aslanov and everything, man. Mr. Barnett, you have been doing fantastic, and you are super underrated, and I hope you get a big shot, man. You really definitely deserve it, and I have a lot of respect for Texas, man. You guys are strong over there, and excited to see where you go from here, man. Hopefully WL gives you a shot. You destroyed me last time we arm wrestled, so I'm excited to try to arm wrestle with you one more time. But yeah, you've been killing it, bro. You beat Mike Aiello. Yeah, I'm sure the list of people you've destroyed and will continue to destroy is extensive. So yeah, nothing but respect, man. There's your shout out. I was supposed to do it at the beginning of the podcast. I forgot. All right, moving forward. This is posted by NNQ2603. After polling at Mississippi State, it was definitely it's on Arm Wrestling TV channel. It was the video of all the after polling going on. Man, I'm getting flamed in that video. So I'm in that video. I'm arm wrestling. We're doing it after the tournament. So the tournament ends. Everybody starts drinking like at the tournament. We get back to the hotel, and there's a Hooters right next to the hotel where I'm staying at. So everybody meets up at the Hooters to do the overall matches. And because we ran out of time at the original venue, so they did the overall matches, which is where you see Justin Bishop beat Ron Bath, and so we did the overalls there. But then everybody's just drinking and hanging out, and it's after polling. So if you're an arm wrestler, then and you've gone to events, and after polling is like everybody's beat, but it's a great time because you get to hang out with your friends and arm wrestle and see what you got and just arm wrestle till you're dead. I love after polling. It's so much fun. But everybody in the YouTube comments doesn't understand what after polling is, and so I was getting destroyed, man. Because there's videos of Justin beating me. Me and Justin arm wrestled left-handed, and I don't know how many matches we did, but I don't know. I'm a lot bigger than Justin, but it doesn't matter. We're both tired. Neither one of us are 100%, and the fact that he pinned me at all, everybody's like, that big guy is weak as hell, and I don't know. It's after polling, guys. It's just messing around. We're all drunk and tore down. It's just for fun. Okay, moving forward. Min Hale posts, what do you train besides arm wrestling? It staggers me that in my club, 90% of guys only train arm wrestling, no other physical activities. A few have a gym background, so they still occasionally do bodybuilding stuff, but for the most part, arm wrestling is all they do. Personally, I run a couple of times and do several full-body calisthenics sessions every week to keep it balanced. A lot of arm wrestlers just train arm wrestling. It's everything they do in the gym, if they're in the gym at all, is just 95%, 100% arm wrestling specific motions, which can definitely do the job for sure. I stopped doing that. I was doing that for a long time. Once I started having shoulder issues, and I realized how imbalanced a lot of my my body was, then I started adding other things in there and spicing it up a little bit. And plus, I was working out at a strongman powerlifting gym, and just, I don't know, seeing how you don't have to be 100% arm wrestlinged out, meaning lose all your range of motion and everything to be effective on the table, right? And also I want to be able to breathe. So things I train besides arm wrestling is that my lifts every day are half the gym, half the lifts for the day are more general lifts, pushing twice a week and pulling twice a week. And pulling could be a heavy bicep brachialis day, or it could be back day or whatever, something like that. Similar, I guess, to a bodybuilder in that sense. But I definitely tweak the stuff a little bit for arm wrestling, my grips and my stances on a lot of stuff. But then the second half of my workouts are all arm wrestling specific wrist work for an hour and a half. Every day, no matter what, I do cupping on my top fingers, cupping on my bottom fingers. Then I do high wrist work, your ability to post up high. And then I do pronation And then no matter what, those are the three. No matter what I do, and then generally though, when I have time and everything, I'll do supination as well, down pressure, and then like reverse wrist curls. Because you gotta have balance, man. You can only get so strong in one area before you add balance to the opposite. So that way you can your body can balance itself out, so you don't injure yourself, and so you can keep making gains. So I definitely do all the opposite lifts for arm wrestling, so I'm strong in both directions. You know what? I wouldn't even say strong, so I'm healthy in both directions, because the opposite lifts for me are super weak. But I still do them every week just to try to make sure I don't become too strong in one area and have nothing to counteract that. And then cardio as well. I mean, getting gassed on the table sucks. I hate it. It's the worst feeling in the world, just feeling your strength drain. So you can gain endurance, via table time, but also at the same time, old school endurance, just on the treadmill. Now, I've always been told that any cardio over 15 minutes, they say your body starts going after the muscles to start tearing down protein to turn your body into like a long distance cardio machine. They say, that's what I was told. So I do 15 minutes of cardio at the end of every gym session a day. I just walk. I put the treadmill as fast as it can go before I have to sprint or start running, and I just like basically power walk for 15 minutes at the end of every workout, and I put the incline up on it, and then I'm just drenched in sweat, and I'm good. So when you're on the table, guys, you have to be able to get oxygen to your muscles, or your muscles will fade, right? So just ignoring cardio all the time is not the best thing to do, especially if you're not living on the table. If you're doing table time once a week compared to guys that are doing it 2-3 times a week, then your endurance on the table is already going to be affected a little bit, because arm wrestling is what gives you the best endurance, in my and a lot of people's opinion. So you got to add some stuff in there, guys. You can't just, in my opinion, only do arm wrestling specific workouts. I think like you have to have a balance in there with some compound movements, and because your body's so complex, there's so many minor muscles in there that doing lifts that like with free weights and whatnot that use your stabilizing muscles and stuff like that will really fill in the gaps in your body, so that way you're not too sport specific where you can't get outside your comfort zone and be okay. That's just what I think, though. There's definitely people that don't think that are at the top of the world. There's guys that do think that are at the top, and so I don't know. I mean, depends on on the person. Moving forward, posted by a random dust bunny, a day in the life of a champion arm wrestler from the Superhuman. This is an old video following Travis around at the gym, showing some of his old lifts and stuff like that. And you guys, I've touched on that on Travis training. Remember, he just has to stack horsepower, guys. At this point, I mean, his lifts are awesome. Don't get me wrong. Travis's lifts are definitely make sense. They will make you strong. But you got to remember, all his lifts are geared towards just stacking on muscle, right? And so you'll be like, well, he's not doing a lot of pronation and cupping and all that stuff. Yeah, because that's all connective tissue that he already has built in. Guys, he has a ton of that. He incorporates a little bit of that into his lifts, as far as like when he does pull-ups, his neutral grip pull-ups, he'll put the bar into the palm of his hand and try to wrist curl while he does it a little bit. So he'll do things that challenge him, but he doesn't have to focus so much on all the connective tissue that we all have to focus on, because we're still building our arm wrestling arms. He already has that installed since he's been arm wrestling since he was like 1 year old, right? So a lot of his stuff is just getting strong and trying to get a little bit of endurance. And then Travis also arm wrestles different than most. He's all about speed and timing and a big, powerful surge, right? And so his training represents that as well. Moving forward, NNQ2603 posts training pulling Ryan Bowen versus Lachlan versus Daniel Tesh, the Brisbane arm wrestlers. It's a video from Ryan Bowen, basically a practice video of him training with his team. Get to see him pulling with Lachlan and Danny and everybody and some of the other guys in the team. Looks like a solid squad. Honestly, it'd be a lot of fun to go practice with those guys. Getting a hold of a good group can make all the difference in the world. If you don't have people to push you, people to keep testing your strengths and hold you in certain spots, then it's hard for you to go forward, really. I mean, if you're always the strongest guy, then it's tough. So being around like-minded individuals who help push you towards your goals and stuff like that and have the tools to help you get there makes all the difference, guys. So making people around you better will help you get better in turn, for sure. So always give back, you guys. Always give back whatever you get from arm wrestling world, right? Next video, moving forward. Next video posted by NNQ2603. WL 506 after pulling Freedom Arm Wrestling. Basically a video of Justin Bishop and Devin and all them messing around after pulling, and just you can see them grinding out with no table, just pulling in the air. Just another wild video of after pulling, us messing around. Don't read into it too much, guys. Moving forward. Oh, I posted something about Jeff Hale and Paul Talbot going to WAF. I'm just excited to see those two guys go to WAF and see what they can do. Some top Americans, and see how they hang in the lighter in their lightweight classes around the world. Those guys are awesome and have a ton to offer, and so it's interesting to see how they're going to hold up against Europe's best. So I mean, kudos to them for going. I really wanted to go, but let's sit this one out, sit this worlds out, and watch how these guys do. So good luck, fellas, if you guys are watching by chance. Okay, moving forward, I did not watch these videos posted by MAGA Arms, Detroit Armbenders videos of tournaments. I did not get around to watching these yet, to be honest with you guys. They look like tournament videos, though, so I will check those out as soon as I can. I don't have any opinion on them yet. Next, after that, was posted by Vaj Poster, Arm Wrestling Championship China Open 2019. It's basically the matches from the D1 China tournament, and you get to see Schoolboy and Mindaugas Terasitis in there arm wrestling. So definitely some familiar faces up there, and but a lot is awesome watching that tournament, because there's a lot of pullers that came out of the woodworks that don't get a lot of time in the limelight, and to go see them do well and get some success on the stage was cool. Kind of wish I would have went, man. It seems like it would have been a lot of fun. You see Dmitry Siliev up there again. It's good to see him arm wrestling. But those tournaments are super competitive in China, and China and all those countries over there are blowing up right now as far as arm wrestling goes. That's definitely the hot spot for arm wrestling in the sport. I think there's going to be a lot of very exciting things and people coming out of those countries very soon. So excited to see what happens over there. Maybe I have to make a trip, go to China. Oh man, I want to go to Japan. If anybody that's Japanese is listening to this, it's my dream to go to Japan and go arm wrestle with you guys over there and hang out. And definitely something I want to do sometime. But yeah, the championship, the China Open, looked like a great tournament. Those shirts are awesome. Okay, so moving forward, posted by Tube Karcher. First meet 2 months in. Mission accomplished. Didn't break my shit, but I kind of got crushed. It's really an experience, nothing like training. I came in not knowing what to expect at all from my opponents. I was stupidly giving them great grips, etc. So much to learn from competing that you can't learn in training. I encourage everyone new to compete ASAP. Now, I fully agree, dude. First off, congratulations on having the balls to go arm wrestle and compete. So many people don't do that. So many people are worried that, I'm not ready to get first place, so I don't want to compete. It's going to be embarrassing if I lose. Dude, that's such a weird way to look at it, to me. But like I've said a bunch of times, I always assume that everybody wants to be the best in the world. So, assuming that everybody gets in the sport trying to be the best in the world, then that's a really weird way to look at it. If you're stressing about winning your first amateur tournament, then you're going to be holding yourself back in a lot of ways, in my opinion. I immediately viewed all of my amateur matches and tournaments as stepping stones towards becoming the best, right? So every amateur tournament I did, I entered every class I could, amateurs and pros, and I always try to get a hold of everybody because it's all experience. I knew I was going to have to lose 8 million times before I got good at this. So I wanted to hurry up and get that underway. I wanted to enter every tournament I could possibly do, go to every single practice, go to every after pull, and just get time on the table, because I knew I had to in order to learn how to do all this stuff. Like, to be obsessed with winning my first or second amateur tournament seems absolutely ludicrous and silly to me, right? You're not even going to remember those tournaments fast forward, a couple years. But you'll remember, you'll notice that you took way too much time off of tournaments, right? So you go to your first tournament, say you go to your first tournament, you do bad because you didn't sleep enough. Okay, well, next tournament you learned how much sleep you need. Or you go to your first tournament and you started cramping up because you didn't drink enough water. Okay, cool. Now you start bringing water every tournament. So there's all these things you're going to have to do to dial in your tournament experience. Tournament experience is the most important thing in the world, in my opinion, right? So I did a tournament before I ever went to practice. And I did every tournament I could after that. You're going to learn the most. So that way when you go up on that stage, one, you stop being nervous. You know how to focus up there. Because you got to remember, everybody's nervous when they first go to these tournaments. But you want to get that out of your system, right? So the person with the most tournament experience that can carry you so far, knowing how to handle tournaments and not be weird, know how to handle the brackets and just everything. There's so much that comes with competing on a table with referees and people screaming your name and stuff like that. You got to get used to that, guys. You can't just sit out and wait until you feel like you're ready to win the whole tournament. That's such a crazy way of looking at it. Unless your goal, if your goal really is to just be the best amateur in your town, then, I mean, I guess that makes sense. Then you can just wait and try to win your local tournament at the bar and never go past that. But if your goal is to really become like a veteran arm wrestler and move forward in the sport, then you got to just compete. Guys, you got to compete as much as you can at first, right? For the first couple years, right? Just keep competing as much as you can until you know how to handle yourself in a tournament and you have no more questions. There's nothing else that needs to be dialed in as far as tournaments. You know how it's going to go. So yeah, by the way, congratulations, Tube Karcher. Way to compete, buddy. All right, moving on. Min Hale posted, arms always damaged. Between the weekly table practice and the regular strength training, my arms are almost always in a state of damage. There are even national level guys in my club who do table practice every day. Is this necessarily a good thing? As far as I'm aware, muscle building is all about adequate recovery, not constantly pushing limits. That's a rough question. It's a good question, you know. So at the beginning, you're trying to make substantial gains. I would say if you're new, because it seems like you might be a little bit new as far as worrying about how often you should be on the table. Then like I said, pushing yourself into the sport and learning is super important, right? So make the most gains you can, focus on healing as much as you can, and getting on the table is everything. You should be on the table as much as humanly possible when you're a new arm wrestler, in my opinion. Everything should be just about healing and getting on the table, healing and getting experience, healing and back on the table so you can learn and start turning your arm into an arm wrestling arm. If you are seriously torn down and you are injured and stuff like that, then you need to be smart and arm wrestle around that, right? So if I did a heavy bicep day, and I'm talking about your bicep with your two bicep heads and everything like that at the gym, and say I wanted to arm wrestle later that day, then maybe I would just do top rolling motions, right, and just stay on my brachialis instead, and just do finger games. So you can arm wrestle and lift every day if you wanted, but it's all about the percentages and how hard you're going on the table, right? I guarantee those guys aren't killing themselves every single day on the table. It's more going through the motions and making sure you stay tight and your body remembers the table every single day. So you kind of have to worry about your safety for sure. Don't push yourself where you're gonna get injured, but dial it in, man. Dial it in for your body and what you can handle. As time goes on, you'll be able to handle more, and your body will change for arm wrestling for sure. But what one guy could be younger, he could be in better shape, he could be on steroids, there's a million different things that can make one person be able to handle more and one person be able to handle less, right? So I don't know, it depends on the person, man, and how hard you want to push yourself. Devin always said, if you get injured, just learn how to train around the injury, right? If I hurt my left arm, then I'm focusing on my right arm. Or if I hurt just a specific part of my left arm, then just pull around it. If my hook, my inside elbow can't handle it, then I'll start top rolling or, something like that. So learn to train around it so that way you keep moving forward. But just play it smart, man. Really I would look at my muscles in a very isolated, specific way, so that way I could keep training. Just know not to touch a certain angle or not to touch a certain muscle when you go on the table or in the gym, and train around it. But heal, man. focus on healing. If you're going to start approaching this style of training where you're just really pushing the limits of doing a lot, then you need to focus extra hard on hydration and sleep and eating right and doing all that stuff to make sure you take your vitamins, all that type of stuff. Moving forward, posted by NNQ2603. It's the video of Devin Larratt and Marcus Liebminger. I can't pronounce that last name. So Devin went out to Germany. I don't know if he's home yet. I think he might still be there. And he had a left-handed super match with Marcus. Marcus is a very strong left-handed arm wrestler from Germany. From Austria. Anyway, he came out to Los Angeles. Was it last year or the year before? Last year, I think. And he had a super match with Robbie Topi, who's a known left-handed beast from the West Coast of the United States. And it was a war. So Marcus definitely has a really solid left hand. But when you go after Devin, what do you expect? Devin was number 1 right and left-handed in the world at the same time. So it's not like he has any huge gap in his game. Devin, I'm sure, watched a couple videos of Marcus, and he's pulled with him before, had an idea where Marcus is going to go, and knew how to bait him, and then he baited him and then drained him, basically, bled him out, held him for a while till Marcus got tired, and then the moment he felt Marcus start fading, then it was dad move time, then it was, kind of mess around time. So some people were saying, like, it's crazy how Devin was just able to flash him when he wanted. Well, he made sure he got him to that point where he was able to do that. For the first couple matches, he was just holding him and draining him. He just knows he had to survive. Devin just had to hold him for the first match, and then it was pretty much over after that point because Devin's endurance will keep going, and Marcus's was fading out. So to actually go after Devin Larratt without insane endurance and to have like a game plan as far as how to deal with that endurance, man, that's foolish. Not saying that that's Marcus's what he did, but I mean, I wouldn't call Devin out unless you can run 2 miles in under 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, not really, but something like that. Moving forward, it was a picture I posted of me with John Brzenk and Alan Fisher. Moving forward after that, posted by Rubber Psyduck. Never meet your heroes; they'll make you feel even shorter. It's a picture of him and Devin is a lot bigger than him. Devin's a tall dude. He's like 6'6" or so, and he can definitely be intimidating. After that, going forward, posted by Gunch. Behind the scenes with Tom, Juji, Devin, and Mike for the Juji ILO wall match. I think this is Juji's version of the WL 506 thing. I haven't watched this yet. It was cool getting to see Juji up there. I'm glad that WL brought him in. He's such a good dude. It's cool seeing him, up there pushing the sport. And I know there's a lot of eyes. He definitely got a lot of eyes onto the sport for us. And really, we have some big social media guys pushing the sport, which is awesome. It's helping out a ton. There's a lot of new guys listening to this podcast. There's a lot of new guys on Reddit and all over the sport right now trying to get into it. That came from from YouTube videos, from Devin, from Juji, from Larry Wheels, now arm wrestling. There's a lot of people getting into it. So it's a really exciting time to be in the sport, and hopefully we can bring all this together and not waste all this attention that we have in the sport. But Mike and Juji match was fake as hell. Mike Ayla is way too strong. So this is the last post, posted by Andre0502. About my arm. Hello. First of all, this is health related, and I'm new to Reddit. Maybe is the wrong section. Anyway, I arm wrestled a guy that's pretty strong, and I got in a hook with him. I stopped him, and when I attacked, my arm made a weird sound, not like a crack, but not far from that. The sound came from the muscles and tendons that connect the forearm and the arm in your elbow area. I had some pain at the moment, but the next day it was all right. The problem is whenever I try to arm wrestle again, I became very weak, and the pain appear is a really bad feeling. Now is about 3 days. Can someone explain what happened to me? I didn't go to a doctor because the pain wasn't bad and everything is normal, like doing push-ups, pull-ups, chin-ups, bodyweight exercises. Sorry for bad English. Okay, so whenever it comes to these health-related questions, I always start off with, I'm not a doctor. This is not professional advice. I think you should go see a doctor for sure and get medically treated. Okay, Now, having said that, people, especially when they're pulling inside in a hook, a lot of times people will pop their elbows. I don't know, in arm wrestling, when it happens, we just go like, oh, your elbow popped or you popped it, and there'll be some light bruising maybe around your elbow. And I don't know if it's straining the tendons or what it is, but generally inside pressure will hurt. If he did what a lot of people do, it generally hurts for about like 5 months, and you can't really hook. So this is almost an example of, if this guy was on my team and he went and got it checked out and everything was fine, I would tell him just to start top rolling, right, and stay away from all that inside side pressure where he hurt his tendons. I've had me and multiple people on my team have done exactly what he's talking about, and your side pressure kills. You can't put any pressure in your elbow for a while till it heals up, so just take it lightly. That doesn't mean you have to quit, though. That means you can still train other things and train around it. But yeah, man, my best advice is just give it time. Don't push it. Let your elbow heal up, and try to train around it if you are still into arm wrestling and you want to keep going forward with it. But you should be fine. Like you're saying, doing push-ups, pull-ups, chin-ups, and body weight exercises don't hurt. Yeah, it's because anything that replicates the arm wrestling motion, the side pressure ways, is going to put pressure through your elbow, and that'll keep reigniting that pain for a while. So just take it easy, man. Take it easy, and you should be fine. I mean, it sounds exactly like what myself and many other arm wrestlers have done, and you should heal up in a few months. Just take it easy. So that's my best advice for that. But once again, I'm not a doctor. Go get it checked out by a doctor. Don't be foolish. So that's it, guys. That's all the topics on Reddit so far for this week. Appreciate you guys listening. One thing I want to touch on real fast was on people taking time. I wrote this down because I wanted to touch on it. Amateurs, you guys, arm wrestling and becoming a great arm wrestler is a marathon, not a sprint. And the more you push it, the more dangerous it is in a lot of ways. And so I just want to say, take your time, guys. A lot of people look for the fastest way to get more powerful at arm wrestling, and it's not building yourself for a long career, and it's setting yourself up for injuries. Whether it's physically on the table, trying to do flop-wristed pressing and trying to find your best way to win, your amateur match, but not setting yourself up for a big picture career, or it's even taking a ton of steroids, and trying to rush the process. Running a lot of gear and steroids like that when you're brand new, it's like putting a dragster engine in a go-kart frame. Meaning you're about to stack on a ton of horsepower, but your tendons and your bones and your ligaments and all that stuff aren't equipped to deal with all the new amount of horsepower that you're going to apply. So the injuries that happen with people that do that are super through the roof, you guys. So if that's what you're thinking, if you guys are thinking about getting in the sport, and because like I said, there's a huge wave of new guys in the sport right now, and with that will come injuries. It's just a fact of life. Don't be one of those guys that breaks their arm on the table. Don't push yourself. All this stuff takes a lot of time, guys. So when you're at practice and you're at the tournaments and stuff, pay attention to your body. Pay attention to your angles. Listen to the veteran guys that are trying to steer you in the right direction. Apply what they tell you. Don't be going there with a huge chip on your shoulder where you're trying to just smash everybody, and these guys don't know what they're talking about. I'm just going to win this tournament. That's how you break your arm in half, and it's gross. So stay safe, guys. Remember, as always, 3 tips to not breaking your arm. Keep your elbow as close to your belly button as you can. Keep your face connected to your hand, so that way where your hand, if you win with your hand. If you lose with your hand. And generally always pull backwards. You follow those 3 things, and unless you have some kind of deficiency or some kind of outstanding weird thing going on in your arm, you should be fine. Never had an arm break at my practice from people on my team ever in 5 years. So just stay safe, guys. We don't need y'all breaking your arms. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening. Another week, and I'll be back, man. Excited about this week training. I'm about to go get my ass to the gym and make some solid gains. Got the next thing coming up is we have a tournament this next weekend with the World Amateur Championships in Buena Park. Excited to see all the amateurs come out there and compete this weekend, you guys. That's a great tournament. It's right next to the Knott's Berry Farm in Southern California. So if you're in the area, come check it out. Love to see you guys. Come talk to me, and we'll talk about arm wrestling. All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you later.